useful as they were. They can be feedbacked as long as Puck keeps those Colossus a little bit back out of abduct range. But there's no... I don't know. This is really... The Broodlords are kind of an odd choice because there's already 6 or 7 Void Rays in that army composition, and Void Rays just shoot down Broodlords immediately, any armored unit immediately. So as long as he... Everything, like I said, is going to come down to control, but Puck more than has enough tools and options to actually beat this army. He just needs to make sure he feedbacks those Vipers and then gets the Void Rays on the Broodlords.
All right, well, Broodlords engaged, take out a sentry, always nice to see. Also trying to nibble away at that High Templar. It would be wonderful if he took that out, but that didn't happen. So the Broodlord's effectiveness is, of course, a little bit limited, especially considering the number of Colossus there to try and kill that. But here we go, the engagement's coming in. Storm comes below the Broodlords, but the Blinding Cloud forces Puck all the way back with continued bombardment from the Broodlords at the back as well. Now Puck backs up and attempts to engage. Viper's now moving in as well. Ghost User not exactly getting optimal engagement arcs right here with the Storm going down. A Colossus falls, but the Void Rays are smashing their way through this army right now. The Colossi at the back of there, I have no idea what happened to the Vipers, but they did not contribute that much to this fight at all. And Gosu User's army is melting here.
Yeah, Puck did that perfectly. He feedbacked all of the Vipers. He backed away from the one Blinding Cloud that came down, and then just targeting down the Broodlords with the Void Rays. And just, like I said, Gosu User, kind of decent army, but Puck had all the tools to beat it and did it perfectly. That was all it really took. Not a sustainable kind of playstyle from Ghost User at all. He was really focused on that big attack. And now, after that battle, Puck is just going to attack him for the win from here, I think.
Well, we've got Ghost User maxing out again, but of course he did it on Roaches, and he does have a few Vipers out again, but he's not going to get enough time to really build the energy on them, so I have to wonder just how effective that's really going to be, especially now that the upgrades are looking a little bit healthier for Puck with the shield upgrade and the +2, plus the air weapons. And here we go once again. Force fields go down a big bombardment line here from the Hydralisks, does significant damage to the Stalkers, and this might not be a win for Puck as of yet, but he's certainly piling on the pressure.
Yeah, Ghost User with the Remax on Roach Hydraling, and Puck actually pushing it anyway. Roach Hydraling, obviously low tech, low resources, very... Oh, and a big abducts actually get both the Colossus out. He manages to recall the big chunk of his army home, but losing both those Colossus kind of... that hurts him quite a bit. He's the 4th base coming down, and this is a low-tech army from Ghost User, but those Colossus are very, very important. He has to be pretty careful not to die here.
Yeah, this is going to be messy as well. There is not enough energy for Storm. He could feed back the Vipers, but they're not even in play right now. And we are seeing Roach Hydra versus Stalker and Void Ray here. Looking decent enough for Puck. Puck's going to definitely take some losses here, though. There's no real question about that. And there's more Hydralisks coming in as well. A single Colossus is able to contribute quite nicely from the cliff face there. There's the defense from Puck. Currently, efficiency-wise, Ghost User has definitely lost more, although Puck has lost more gas-heavy units here, as Puck tends to clear out just a little bit of the creep and give himself some options to pivot towards the 5th base of Ghost User down to the bottom there. That could very easily be killed off.
Yeah, it looked a little bit iffy there for a while because Puck was pushing into Roach Hydraling, and against Roach Hydraling you want to play much more passively. It's very good until those high-tech units come out, but even that battle win for Ghost User getting the Colossus is not going to be enough. This Protoss army is just so strong, and really smart play with the recalls. You know, we were questioning Puck's lack of use of the recall last game, but definitely putting it to use here, keeping that army alive. And as long as Ghost User is stuck on this kind of Roach Hydraling composition, there's a ticking clock on that, because the Colossus, the Templar, the Void Race are just so efficient against it.
Great abduct here from Ghost User, able to pull the Colossus into a good position there. Looking to try and see some Storm, but there's actually no energy for it. Another Colossus goes down here as well. And things are still looking a little bit dicey here for Puck. Ghost User is maxing out again. Blink Stalker play now in effect, trying to bring units onto the field. We've got +3 ground weapons started, 12 more Roaches on the way, +3 missile attacks started for Ghost User. And looking for Zealot charge here as well. We might see a transition out to Zealot Archon. That Blinding Cloud, super effective. Puck not quick enough getting out of that, taking significant losses here, and Ghost User continues to menace the front. Now, you are absolutely right in saying that this is very much a ticking clock, but Puck's stuck on mostly gateway units right now and isn't able to get a good Colossus count up.
Yeah, the Colossus and the lack of Templar is really big. Every time he warps in some Templar, they die before they actually manage to get Storms off. And so as much as I was complimenting Puck's army management in that first engagement, it's been pretty questionable ever since. Still going to win this battle. Still on 4-base Protoss, which is pretty scary, but he really needs to be much more careful about protecting those high-tech investments. because gateway units against Roach Hydra, that's not what you want. And
No.
Ghost User with really smart Roach Hydra engagements thus far, good Viper usage for the most part, and not the most efficient style, but he's making it work. And a big part of that, honestly, is just because Puck is not keeping those important units alive. Just you really just need that big count of Void Rays and Colossus and Templar, and then this army will absolutely melt from Ghost User. He just has to be more patient and actually get that up and stop throwing away the important units.
Puck's managed to get a 5th base down to the bottom, which looks like it's just going to be, for the most part, a gas mining base. I'm actually kind of surprised that we're not seeing a second Robo or a second Stargate come down here from Puck. And it's really limiting his ability to get those very important units back out, and that is going to involve a reliance on Templar as a result. Storm goes down. Now at least he has Storms in his engagement, although he is caught out in a fairly ugly position. Now he's going to be backed off into a corner. Another Storm goes down here as well. Only a single Colossus in effect. Yet more Storms. There's the Obduct that comes down. The majority of Ghost User's army is getting melted here. And this is starting to look pretty good for Puck, although mutually assured destruction in effect, as these guys just tear into each other.
Yeah, once again, Puck caught out without the big high-tech army, just out of position. The really good engagement by Ghost User to actually push him back into that corner. But then some good storms changing the situation again for Puck, actually giving him a bit of advantage. And just like you said, both killing off each other's armies. Not the best engagement, but Puck securing that 5th base, securing more gas, although actually evacuating all the probes from it. I guess he feels it's going to die for sure, so it's not even worth trying to defend. I don't know, very, very weird decision making from both of them here, but I think Ghost User's slowly gaining advantage as Puck's bases are starting to mine out, starting to run out of gas, and that's going to get pretty dangerous here if he can't continue to support the Colossus and the Templar production. But we do have 2 Robo Colossus out now, and that could be pretty powerful. But
yeah,
at the same time, Broodlord switch from Ghost User. I'm not sure if he scouted that or just kind of lucky or good star sense, but perfect timing on those Broodlords as he switches to more Colossus production. No Void Rays at all coming out now. Those Broodlords could actually be the game changer here for Ghost User.
Yeah, things are looking really, really good for him right now. I'm intrigued to see whether or not Puck can actually strike at a time or just get an efficient engagement that involves those Broodlords not really contributing that much. There's still the possibility that those Blink Stalkers will deal with the Broodlords, but unless you can get back there, and even if you just blink forward, it means that your Stalkers are ridiculously vulnerable as they try and deal with the Broodlords as well. So Puck has to get a smart engagement here. Ghost User is menacing once again. He's maxed out yet again. We see that all the time. Ghost User throwing away army after army, but able to remax on roaches that are heavily upgraded. And now Ghost User going, just pushing forward a little bit. There's the blink that I was talking about, but that puts those right at the front. He takes the Broodlords out quite quickly here. The Colossus is looking pretty good, but they're all pulled in to that composition thanks to the Vipers. More Storms going down here. A Time Warp goes down as well, but Puck should be able to hold this. There's a lot of very, very weak roaches that are suddenly going to get slaughtered by those Blink Stalkers.
Yeah, another honestly pretty sloppy engagement from both sides. Those Broodlords a little bit too exposed at the start. A good blink in from Puck to pick those off. But then the Colossus left undefended. No Templar feedbacks, which are an absolute must. And Puck ends up clearing it up with big warp-ins. But both players honestly playing really sloppy with their important units. And just need to be a lot more careful about that. Ghost User is winning the battle of attrition. He is gaining more and more bases. Puck is kind of losing economy. But Ghost User can only make maxed armies so many times, and he is losing a maxed army pretty much every time. But if we look at the supplies, it's now 196 to 134. This may have been the tipping point. Puck just cannot resupply as fast as Ghost User. Ghost User looks like he's probably going to manage to pull it out here.
Yeah, it looks like it. There's 2 Colossus in this army here. He's going to try and hold it. It's a good engagement point, I feel. Nice choke point that he can make use of here. There's an attempted flank, and actually we need to see better target fire here from Puck. He's got 1 Colossus firing on a single roach, which is absolutely wasteful here. He must target well in order to actually hold on to this base. More Stalkers are dying. Blink Stalker control is looking pretty good. The Hydra's now moving. Take out 1 Colossus. Yet more Stalkers falling here. Ghost User is falling up again. Yet more big surges of units. 20, 30 roaches and 10 Hydras at once. His bank is monstrous right now as Puck has not really been able to touch his bases for the entire game, and now I feel that Puck is just in a horrible spot.
Yeah, Ghost User realizing that he has Puck on the back foot, reinforcing with purely low-tech units, just going to keep throwing masses at him and overwhelm him before he manages to get that 5th base up, because that 5th base is what would let Puck continue to produce the high-tech units. But if he manages to deny that, that's going to be the end of the game, and this looks like that's going to happen here. Puck knowing that he's on the back foot, knowing that he has to do something to control Ghost User's economy, but just not able to do it, now losing all his units. And this should be the end of it for Puck. There's almost no way he's going to be able to clear this out.
No, there definitely isn't. He's only got 1 Colossus, and the second one pops out. It's not going to make any difference, and Puck apologizes to the fans for the 3-0 defeat there, and I don't think all that many people would unfortunately disagree with Puck's assessment of this game. But there you go. Great commiserations coming out here from Puck. Congratulations to his opponent. And GG, that is a 3-0 sweep for Gosu User, who will advance through to the round of 4. Kind of cruising through that one, I feel. And Puck definitely did seem a bit shakier than usual.
Yeah, the first 2 games were just kind of overall not particularly good. Weird builds, bad decision making. But that third game, that's the really depressing one, because Puck certainly could have, should have, would have won that. After that first engagement, just controlling everything perfectly, taking the Vipers out of the equation, backing away from the Binding Cloud, and just winning the battle very easily. But then getting a little bit too trigger happy once again, going into that fourth and wasting his opportunity. And then from there, Ghost User just kind of had a bigger economy and got the better of the trades. That game was well within Puck's grasp. That has to hurt to lose that.
Yeah, it was actually really unfortunate to watch, and it was also a really important point to bring up, the fact that Puck was not able to touch Gosu User's economy for pretty much the entire game. We saw that one piece of Oracle harassment, and then there was nothing else following that one up. Never a Warp Prism play, never a run by. It was all these big engagements. Gosu User sitting on 6 or 7 hatcheries, pretty... I mean, you've got to think about the amount of money that just simply comes in from that. The ability to just remax. We're seeing 30 Roaches and 15 Hydras being built at once, and still the bank not being exhausted. I mean, he was more lava limited than cash limited there. Yeah,
that's an excellent point, that he just kept pounding home the main attacks, the big attacks. And those bases, you know, Ghost User had 5 or 6 bases, but he was being aggressive the whole time. He never had the time to sit back and build up static defense or anything like that. Those were pretty much naked bases. Any kind of 5 or 6 Zealot Warp-ins, Warp Prism running around would have done massive damage and would have forced Ghost User out of position, so Puck could have actually taken a good aggressive battle. Because every time Puck tried to get aggressive, was caught totally out of position. Ghost User was getting the much better engagements, except for when Puck was defending those bases. So that harassment you mentioned, that would have been also game-changing, would have allowed Puck to get back in there even after some of those bad battles, just because Ghost User was so exposed to it. But none of that from Puck, just those head-on attacks that really didn't work out that well.
Yep, very, very unfortunate there for Root, as they lose one of their players that advanced in this particular tournament. And now we have a situation where Ghost User is in the round of 4 and will be playing tomorrow against either Kane or QXC. So we will either get to see a Zerg versus Zerg there. Definitely not Ghost User's strongest matchup, or we will get to see a Zerg versus Terran, which, as far as I'm concerned, is where Ghost User is really in his element.
Yeah, it seems like every tournament match he plays, Ghost User is getting ZVTs. And, you know, he's lost some matches, even losing to Drunken Boy, like we were talking earlier, but he's also had some great matches, like the match against Bomber, the fabled 2-hour
oh dear God,
Newkirk Precinct game. So as boring as that was to watch, he did play it very well, and definitely has a good handle on the ZVT matchup. So maybe he'd prefer that. But then again, it is QXC, and QXC is an incredibly frustrating player to play against, especially if he brings out his Widow Mine heavy mech styles. So I'm not really sure who a Ghost User would prefer. He might just want his Zerg to avoid the Widow Mines.
That's very much a possibility there. All right, well, the next matchup will in fact be Kane versus QXC. We will find out who will be going up against Gosu User in the round of 4, which of course best of 7. For those of you wondering how exactly that works, well, 5 map pool, and the map pool will be refreshed after the 5th map, so everything becomes up for grabs in the last 2. And the smaller map pool very much there because it makes it easier for players to practice, and the overwhelming pro response was a smaller map pool is best.
Yeah, it certainly is. The less maps you have to prepare for, the better you can be on them, and the better games you'll get.
All right, well, we're going to be taking a short break while we set up the next match, folks. Gosu User advances to the round of 4. Will it be Kane versus QXC to face him in the round of 4 tomorrow? We will find out after this break, folks. You are watching SHOUTcraft America, cast by myself and Greg Idrefield. We will be right back. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to SHOUTcraft America, round of 8. We're going to be going into the second matchup here. We just saw Ghosty User play a pretty phenomenal series against Puck. Puck apologizing to everyone for apparently not playing up to his potential there, but now we're going to be seeing a little bit of Zerg versus Terran action. Probably the most hyped matchup today between two fantastic players. And I'm going to bring them onto the call right now, and we can hear exactly what they have to say for each other. All right, guys, welcome. Welcome back to the show.
Hey, man. How's it going?
How's it going?
It's all right. It's not too bad. QXE, so you had a chance to play yesterday, and you ran into a couple of problems, as it turns out. It was not the easy group that some people thought it would be for you.
Yeah, I mean, State is pretty underrated because he doesn't play in a lot of events, but he's got a pretty good understanding of the versus Protoss matchup. And I knew my match against the Unicider would be tough, but I don't know. I got a little bit lucky, I think, but it worked out.
So, Kane, you were one of two players to go through your group 4-0 in terms of map score. You were looking pretty dominant. Now you've got to play another Zerg versus Terran. How are you feeling going into this matchup?
Yeah, I'm feeling really good. QXC is kind of past his prime at this point. I would say he's kind of a washed-up player. I mean, like, he had good results a couple years ago, but at this point it's kind of like, I don't know, we're all just kind of waiting for him to retire, so we'll see. Hopefully after this match.
Okay.
All right, okay. So things are on, it would appear, already between these two. Kane, a little bit cocky. QXC, this up-and-comer, seriously.
I mean, did you remember I made that comment yesterday? That's what he's referring to.
Which comment? I didn't actually watch your games. I assumed that you would get first, but it seemed like you really, really struggled, so I don't know.
At the end of when me and Zeno were talking about how we felt about the next person we were playing, I made that exact same comment because I didn't think Kane was that good anymore.
Anymore?
Yeah.
I'm just hitting my prime, baby.
Okay, we'll see.
Oh, this is going to be good. I can see it. This is delicious. This is fantastic. All right, now, QXC, how much opportunity have you really had to run into Kane on the ladder? Because as we discussed yesterday, you, for the most part, do not practice on US ladder.
I played him a little bit, but I think with a lot of the players, especially in the SHOUTcraft, they had either kind of finished laddering last season when I was really going hard, and I also play at different times for most North Americans because I wake up pretty early, so I haven't played Kane that much. We played a couple of practice games here and there, but it's been a while.
So, Kane, where exactly does your confidence against QXC come from? Is that just mindless bragging, or do you have a reason for feeling that way?
No, in all honesty, QXC is a really good player. I think that I am favored in this matchup, but you definitely got to respect him as a player. I think he's quite good, and yeah, it'll be a good match to watch, I think, for sure.
All right, QXC, any final words for your opponent today before we start off on Star Station?
Take notes.
Kane.
We'll see. Let's just see how these games go.
All right, okay, guys, to your stations, and we're going to be having a very fun best of 5 series between you two. No question about that. All right, Greg. So, QXC is, of course, a player that you have faced repeatedly. You've had a lot of experience against him.
I'm just really sad that Kane backed out on the BM at the end there, because he's always talked a lot of trash on ladder, but then really been really nice and quiet in person and stuff. I thought he was finally like coming out of his shell and maturing into an asshole. But then he goes and backs down at the end of it and takes all the oomph out of it.
Ah, yeah,
It's no fun at all.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I mean, Kane went into his games with quite a bit of bravado, honestly, and he was able to walk the walk as well as talk the talk. Now, I'm intrigued to see what's going to end up happening between these two. It's going to be Star Station once again. I'm going to find out whose map choice it was. This is good to know. But who would you call going into this one? QXE, the man of experience. Kane has been around for a while, but I don't think has really been recognized until very recently.
I would say if it was just flat out on skill and ability, Kane for sure, but QXE definitely the more experienced player, and Kane has struggled at live events at least. He seems to be coming into his own at least a little bit for online tournaments, but definitely not as much of an experienced competitive player. So that edge goes to QXE, and QXE also has a weird style, and we're not sure just how used to it Kane is, because like he said, he doesn't play too much on the NA server, and he plays at weird times, so they haven't played each other a ton. And QXC is capable of some really weird stuff. And Kane is a little bit more robotic, at least I get that feel from him. So he may not respond to that too well. So I would say, in terms of the absolute skill and everything, that goes towards Kane, but all the intangibles, those are much more going in QXC's favor.
All right, well, we'll see which is able to take the win here on Star Station. These guys are just getting set up, and I am really excited for this. Like, I like watching QXC play, and you can call me a bit of a Kane fan after his performance in his particular group, but I am interested to see how he performs in the best of 5 with just a flash in the pan for Kane. And has QXC actually really had a huge amount of chance to prepare? Neither of these guys have really had much preparation time, simply because it ended up being QXC only getting his place in this round of 8 yesterday, so neither of these guys really knew until yesterday exactly who they would be facing, although, of course, they could have made an educated guess.
Yeah, although I think a lot of people, like you said before, would have predicted QXC coming in first in that
Yes.
group, so Kane